It's episode 179 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I'm Joshua Mobley.
And this week, we're going to talk about several things. We're going to talk about my thoughts on Biomutant now that the embargo has lifted. We're going to talk about some rogue lights with our buddy Josh over there. And we're going to talk about a couple of things, including the Fast and Furious series and a couple other things like that with Chris. Where would we like to start?
I think in the interest of it being, what is it, released tomorrow? Biomutant?
I think it's
Sometime this
Jeez.
week.
I should have had that information
I
prepped.
mean, it's Monday
Wah,
today,
wah.
so normally games come out on Tuesday unless they're weirdo games coming out on Thursdays and Fridays. Think they can do whatever they want.
Man, look at Jughead Vegeta Jones.
He's being a wild boy.
He is. He's been home by himself a lot lately because I went back to the office for work a lot of days of the week.
Oh.
And he's a clingy little boy.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, it is coming out tomorrow. Holy crap. Setting the embargo to lift the day before the game comes out.
Well, Brian, what do you think of Biomutant?
It is bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have been really looking forward to this game. I actually tried to see it. I was talking to people about this. I was trying to see it at PAX 2018, but the only time that I had free that I didn't already have like existing appointments was like around lunchtime or like later in the day. And when I stopped by, actually, the booth was right next to the one for Darksiders 3. So I sat down with Darksiders 3, and then I was like popping over just to be like, "Hey, can I check out Biomutant?" And everybody was like out to lunch, and there was something going on with the machines.
They're like,
So
absolutely not.
yeah, so I wasn't able to see it. It was one of only two games that I wasn't able to see, which we talked about lately. The other being Tunic, which we actually got to play the beta of fairly recently. But I've actually been talking to a couple of people who've been playing this like behind the scenes because when before embargoes lift, like you gotta. Those are basically the only people that you have to talk about things with, and everybody I've been talking to has had kind of the same impression as me. I was just alone. So Biomutant is a. Let me just explain what it is first. So it is a third-person action RPG set in a post-apocalyptic Earth, where you play a like mutated and kind of hyper-evolved rodent of various sorts, and you can kind of there's like a character customizer when you start, so you can look more like a raccoon, you can look more like a rabbit, you can look more like a whatever. Um, and you can lean into like several different schools of combat. You can be like a melee fighter, or you can do like crazy like superpowers, like you know mind control and shooting electric balls. And then they're also leaning into like from the image that Josh referenced earlier, they are really leaning into like the Ronin kind of wandering one-eyed swordsman thing with all the promotional key art and stuff like that. Um, uh, but everybody that I've talked to had the same thing, which is like it's not very good. It's a kind of a convoluted mess. It doesn't really do any of the things it's trying to do particularly well. Um, it also, like, I played it on my relatively high-end PC, and like there's like weird inconsistent frame stuff that's happening, like environments in the distance look really smooth and good, but like the main character is like frame stuttering in some weird ways. Like there's very weird stuff going on with this game. There were some people that I talked to that had like fallen through the world several times as they were like trying to play the game. But I'll just go through some of my thoughts. It's rated T for teen, but the story and kind of the simplicity of it, it almost seems like it's for kids, as well as like with the message that it's trying to. It has a very like pro environmentalist, like also be nice and understanding to other people type of a message that's like very kind of bottom shelf. They're not really trying to say anything complicated or profound with this game. Like, it's very straightforward, kind of color by numbers sort of a situation. But the crazy thing is it also is pretty violent, and also a lot of the topics are like death, the death of family, survival of the fittest, like sorts of mentality. So like it's really feels like it's has mixed messaging. So it's I don't know. It was really weird for it to be T for teen and then have it even seem a little bit too rudimentary even for like teenagers. But I'm not really sure what they were going for with that.
What's
So
unfortunate is like the original elevator pitch of like what this game is seems like hi old girl chill. We're excited to be here too. The original elevator pitch of it is like it seems pretty compelling, or at least even that key art for it that like, you know,
Yeah,
we've
it
seen
looks
it a million
great.
times. It looks awesome.
Yes. And I think that it has a lot of promise. Like if you were to tell somebody the elevator pitch, like of, oh, hey, what if you had a customizable, you know, anthropomorphic rodent that was going around and fighting in a post-apocalypse, and it had like, you know, air juggling or gun shooting like Devil May Cry,
Yeah.
or, you know, and like a crafting system, and, you know, you had like dialogue choices and a like was it Paragon versus Renegade style morality system of light versus dark, like you have in Mass Effect. Like that could be great. The problem is it doesn't quite deliver on any of those things, which is really unfortunate because the combat doesn't feel good. The story is really, it just hits the same note over and over again. The dialogue isn't particularly good. The voice acting is good, but when what you're saying isn't compelling, it doesn't really matter. And the crafting system and morality system are like borderline incomprehensible.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that because I came up with one. I came up against one particular situation early in the game that really highlights kind of the completely lost in the sauce kind of way that this game feels. But so I made a list of pros and cons.
Real quick, I need to interrupt
Sure.
you and say "lost in the sauce" is a great term I've never heard until today.
You've
Oh, you
never
haven't?
heard?
Oh,
I use that
I'm
all
gonna
the
steal
time.
that. I'm gonna steal.
it's so
that.
good, dude.
Yeah.
Lost in the Sauce is great.
Great. Okay, continue.
Yes, I appreciate that. We might have that'll go in the episode name list for sure.
Awesome.
Because I think that's a great description of this game. So under my pros list, I have this game is goofy as hell. In my cons list, the first thing is this game is goofy as hell. So it is a pro and a con. This game is super quirky. The characters are like really weird, but it doesn't really capitalize on them in any sort of charming way. It's kind of like the veneer is cool, but once you dig into it, you know, it doesn't really hold up to scrutiny.
Would you compare it to like Borderlands, where
Oh my
at
god,
first you're like, "Oh, this is goofy and fun," and then eventually you're like, "Okay, shut up."
I wouldn't compare it to Borderlands 1 or 2, but if you go at like the worst parts of Borderlands 3 are, you're kind of in the ballpark.
Okay.
Because Borderlands 3 was largely kind of charmless, which is unfortunate because I love Borderlands. But yeah, this game is exposition city. They explain everything like 2 or 3 times within just the first like hour. They set the stakes, but they don't really make anything pay off in like any sort of significant way. There's constant interruptions for these micro cinematics. So it's one of those games where like you'll walk 10, 15 feet, do one thing, and then it'll cut away for like a tiny cinematic to show you the door you need to go through next. And then once you go through it, immediately it will cut to a zoom out shot of the environment and show you where you need to go to next. And then the narrator will say something, you know, or whatever. And in addition to that, there is so much dialogue, which is so redundant, and it bounces between like the characters in the world don't speak English, but they have subtitles, so they will speak in their like Simlish or whatever, and you'll get the subtitles, but then the narrator will say basically the same thing again. It it really feels like it's disrespecting your time with the way that they handle even just the dialogue.
It reminds me of Shadow of War when, like, in the first 2 hours, you hear the word Palantir like 25 times. They're like, we have to get the Palantir. You're like, I get it, okay? I get it.
Yeah.
We gotta
And,
get
like,
the Palantir.
and the main character doesn't have any like internal monologue. The narrator basically tells you everything you're thinking. So not only is the narrator translating everything that everyone is saying, but they're also giving you like the, oh, he remembered when he was back here and his mother was teaching him Wong Fu or like whatever, and like, oh, he had his feelings hurt. He was going to make a sword and show them all what was going on. Like all that sort. Like it's just, it's very heavy-handed and overwrought as far as the writing goes. And unfortunately, that kind of feeling translates to the combat as well. Like a lot of these things, I could forgive if the combat was great. But
it looks very cut and paste, like just like nothing unique, nothing you haven't seen before.
Yes, that is true. But unfortunately, what doesn't really get conveyed in those videos is how sluggish things feel,
Really?
as far as like how they respond. Like if it responded on a 1-to-1 with the stuff that was on screen, I think it would be fine.
Sure.
But the problem is even on a PC with a controller that's plugged in with basically no input latency, it still feels like there's like a weird delay, and I'm not sure what I'm really interested to see what this game looks like when people get their hands on it on like PS5 and Series X and things like that. But it doesn't feel particularly well optimized for PC regardless. Like I played it on my laptop at first and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel great, but like maybe it's just like the machine isn't very good. So let me see what it's going to be like when I play it on like my desktop, which is significantly more powerful. And it didn't really make any difference, which was unfortunate.
Would you say
I think,
it feels similar to, like, I wasn't a big fan of like Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm a fan of the game, but the combat in it specifically.
It's kind of like that, but what if it was how the melee felt, but for every part of it?
Yeah, that's what it sounded like when you were
it's
describing
kind of like that. That's a good,
Don't like that.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I will say there are interesting kind of things. Like I think I actually ran into like an interesting problem because so I was, in retrospect, I probably should have just started over and made a sword character. But in these sorts of games, I typically play spellcasters. So I chose like the intellectual main character, where they have like spells starting out, and I think each class starts with a gun, but you either start with the caster starts with fist weapons. So you're basically bouncing back and forth between casting longer range spells, which like there's not really long range spells, but they're like short to medium range spells, like lobbing this like little ball of electricity is like the first one that you get. But so because I did that and I was doing like the fist fighting style, I was like, oh, this is gonna feel impactful and good. And it didn't really. It felt like my attacks were very slight and didn't really do a whole lot. And if you're not paying attention and parrying, like this game has a parry system like Dark Souls. One thing I will say that I like is that when a character is going to attack you and they approach in melee range and they're readying an attack, 4 lightning bolts will pop up over their head, which is really helpful because you're engaging several people at a time most of the time.
almost like an Arkham kind of thing.
And the parry window is actually pretty generous. So because the parry window is generous and you'll see those lightning bolts above enemies, it was actually fairly easy for me to parry enemies and then perform counterattacks. But enemies, when you're not parrying, they don't really take a lot of hit stun. So like you can be laying into like a 1, 2, 3 hit combo, and then somebody just starts attacking you, and they don't get interrupted by your continued assault. They just knock you out of it and knock you across the room. So you have to be paying attention to your health in a way that I don't think plays into the kind of more arcadey open world feel of this game. it's kind of odd the way that goes into it.
Hmm.
The gunplay is interesting though, because you can do things like you could do with the Hunter in Destiny, with the the later updates to Gunslinger, where like you dodging would let you reload.
Okay.
So like you can like you have your gun and you shoot, and then the like little bullet things will empty like they do with like those arcade shooter games. And then you can dodge roll away after you finish firing to prompt a reload, or you can reload manually, etc. And you can also jump up and kind of get some hang time while you're shooting at enemies. And you can do like you can dash forward towards somebody and do like a separate gun attack, and that's all kind of automated with the way that you sequence your dodge and shooting things. I think that is actually like the most interesting part of what Biomutant does. Like, but I definitely found that the fact that melee didn't feel great, and the fact that my spells and my gun interplay basically had me kind of strafing backwards and kiting enemies. But that it went from engaging in a melee system that felt kind of wonky and lopsided to basically completely trivializing any encounter by just kiting away, that made it kind of boring, which is unfortunate because I wanted to have more engaging choices, like more. If I want to go melee, I want that to feel good. If I want to go ranged and do spells and guns, I want that to feel good. But like neither solution really was satisfying to me, which is unfortunate. Oh yeah, and you use there's a stamina gauge in this game, and you use it for dodging and running and swimming if you don't want to drown. So as soon as your stamina thing runs out in the water, you drown, and yeah, that becomes a story point later on. But yeah, that's kind of frustrating.
Ukulele does the same thing, and it's like one of the worst things about it. There's a lot wrong with that game, but it's one of the worst things about that game.
Yeah, I think that removing the unfortunate thing is like there's not really a lot that you gain from, like there aren't really a ton of incentives to explore the world thoroughly. So like putting a hard limit, it's not like Ori where like your hard limit of breathing time is so you don't get tons of health bonuses and a bunch of like items or things like that underwater, too early.
Right.
It never really felt like any of the stuff that I got was super meaningful.
Yeah.
And that goes for the crafting system as well. Like it's fine, but it also like basically you have a jacket and then you add what are called add-ons, which is basically just like, oh, let me take this sleeve and screw a bolt through it, and that'll give me plus 16 defense. And let me screw a bolt through the other side, and that'll give me another plus 16 defense. And let me put like a broken toaster on my back, and that'll give me another plus 16 defense. And it's just a bunch of nonsense that didn't need to exist, which is like, unfortunate. So
this guy, hold on. Now Jerry has 75 pieces of flair on his.
Exactly. yeah, it's dumb. I don't like it. I think if you're gonna have a crafting system, you have to make it important. Like the Last of Us crafting system is essential.
Yeah.
Like to that game. Like if you did not have that, that would be a completely different game.
Well, and the way that it gives you items in that game is like dependent on what you're currently carrying. Like you may not get ammo if you already have too much. But this sounds like they were just like, just throw some stuff in this section of the level and we'll see what happens.
It feels like their attempt at trying to make exploration in this largely really empty world seem worthwhile.
Yeah.
Which is just, I definitely would have preferred a more focused linear experience that was not open world, and for them to use that excess time to polish the combat.
You didn't beat it, right?
No,
How long is it? Do you know? I don't know if they told you in like the press release or anything. It's not on How Long to Beat yet.
No, I don't think they told me. I can check real quick.
Yeah. It seems like the kind of game that could end up being like 20 to 60 hours depending on what you do.
It's not like 60
7.
hours.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple of people, and I think what they were saying is it's supposed to be like 18 to 25.
For as much as like, and then we have Galadriel, who was born in a hamster ball.
Sounds a lot like Galadriel.
Yeah.
I got Lord of the Rings on the mind.
Yeah, I don't see anything about the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to give you an idea. Yeah, an idea of also the information parsing on items is bad. It's really unclear when you pick items up what they even are. Like I thought I picked up a sword, but it ended up just being a crafting reagent that could be used to craft a sword.
Oh.
And it's just like, yeah, it's the menu is also pretty bad.
Is there anything you liked about the game, Brian?
Yeah.
I thought the premise could have been interesting. There are a lot of dumb nouns and a lot of it's got like, you remember back in the day when Disney and Pixar were getting huge and you saw like knockoff CGI movies?
Still see that.
That didn't have good stories at all and were just kind of also rans.
Norm of the North and like things like that.
It kind of feels like that version of like
a Ratchet and Clank or something.
Or like an Ori of like we're gonna do this, like we're gonna try to tug at your heartstrings and do this like pro environment, sort of a thing, but it just doesn't land. And so I've been talking to some other people, and apparently, so there's a big choice you make very early in the game where you decide basically, and this goes into the morality system, which I'll tell you about in a second. But basically you have to decide, there are a bunch of tribes and there are a bunch of like bosses and monsters, and you can choose, and this is within the first like hour of the game. So if you don't want to hear what this is, skip ahead like 30 seconds. You basically decide whether you want to go around and unite the tribes the way that your mom did, or you destroy all the rival tribes and let the monsters destroy the Tree of Life. So it's kind of like we have to save and protect and unite everybody, or burn it all and start over, survival of the fittest brutality.
Do you want to be a Skeksis or do you want to be a Gelfling?
Mystic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently, even when you pick, like regardless of what you pick, there's not really anything that changes.
Wow.
Like apparently it's very similar. I don't know that personally because I went down the dark path, but apparently regardless of which one you do, you still fight all the same bosses. You still, like, there's not hardly anything that changes, which it seems like a huge missed opportunity, because if you're trying to destroy the world tree, the 6 bosses that you fight are also trying to destroy the world tree. Like, so like, why would you fight them? Like, why wouldn't you just leave them alone? But anyway,
what studio made this? Like, it has to be a small team. For it to have taken...
it's like 20 people.
Okay, all right, that I can forgive that. like, if you're gonna say like,
but then why are you being this ambitious?
No, yeah, I mean, they're probably just giving it a shot. At one point, this game I think had like a lot of backing from Microsoft, like in terms of marketing and like I didn't even realize this was coming out on PS4 as well, because there was a while where like they were talking about it as if it was an exclusive.
Oh, here we go. Let's get the press kit. Yeah, so this is published by THQ Nordic.
Okay.
Who owns like everything.
Yeah.
That sounds like the most accurate thing I've heard all day.
And the developer is Experiment 101. So okay. I don't know. Let's you know what? Let's look it up. Let's take a dive.
Experiment.
Take a gander.
Have they done anything else? And if they have done anything else,
a studio named Experiment 101. No, it doesn't look like they've done anything. I think this is their first soiree into.
Okay, a former studio art director and game director. So it's co-founded by Stefan Lundqvist.
And game director at Avalanche Studios.
Yeah, and one of the key members of the team behind Mad Max and Just Cause. So, I definitely see the Just Cause influences. because this game doesn't run well either.
Which the first one didn't run well, right? All the other ones have been people have
shots have been fired.
Been fans of.
Shots have been fired, and I apologize.
Harry in the chat goes, sounds like this is their first experiment.
Experiment 1, yeah.
Looking for experiment 102.
Yeah,
that'll be the one.
Yeah, but it definitely feels like one of those things where production creep came into it, and they just expanded too far. And if they cut the crafting system, made the world a lot smaller, and made your choices more meaningful, and like trimmed the writing, like
it sounds like everything in this game just trim the fat, and
you just need to just cut it like 30, 40, 50% down to size, and like I think it would have been way better. And then they would have had more time to work on the combat and make it feel as responsive as you would want something. Like character action games live and die by the combat, and if it doesn't feel good, it's not going to be a good game.
Yeah.
You know, and when you have all of these other systems that are distracting the attention from the main issue, and like any of these things could have been forgiven if the other was exceptional, but none of them are. Like if the story was amazing, you could have worked your way through the combat feeling a little weird. Like we've seen that in games before, where like the combat wasn't necessarily great, but the story pulled you through.
Sure.
You know, like I mean, you look at the first Mass Effect. Like I don't think anybody would say that the combat in the first Mass Effect was great.
No.
You know,
no, absolutely not.
But it was interesting. Like the premise was interesting. The world building was really great. Like they nailed the other stuff. And by the same token, Devil May Cry games stories are a freaking mess, but the combat is so good that like it doesn't matter. You can just ignore it.
Is it though?
Some of them are.
DMC has
DMC
it all.
is.
I dipped out. I dipped out on 5. That game did not grab me, unfortunately.
It took me a hot minute before I was able to do that. But I wanted to get into the most incomprehensible system in this entire game, which is the morality system. So it is totally binary, which you know, I think that the industry has had kind of a discussion on morality systems in recent years of like doing strictly black and white morality isn't really the greatest because it doesn't give you any room for nuance or motivations or something. You're basically either like a mustache twirling villain or like a good boy looking for all the Boy Scout points. And that doesn't really cut it anymore.
Yeah.
Especially when you have games like The Last of Us that are pushing like, wow, like what do you actually think about the protagonist? Like the main characters in The Last of Us are not really heroic at all. Which is more interesting, you know, and that's not for everybody. Like there is a place for your Paragon Renegade, for your like, etc. But like, it's not a great default, I don't think.
Yeah.
But what if you took that system and then made your choices not matter at all? So
like,
here we go.
Why even have it? Yeah,
exactly. So here's an example of something that happened to me in this game within, I think, the first 2 hours. So if you look at my profile on Steam, I think I have 11 hours in it, but some of that was idling, so I'm not sure exactly how much I played in it. But this was something that happened like pretty early on. So I was walking along. I found two enemy combatants leaning up against a wall that attacked me on sight. And behind them was a hooded figure in a cage. Pretty obvious, like we've seen that in Diablo, we've seen that in tons of games. So I fought them, and then I freed the person that was in the cage, and then immediately once they got out, they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry you're on this dark path." I'm like, "You just met me. How do you know what path I'm on?" And I'm like barely over the line towards darkness. I'm like +2 into darkness at this point. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sad that you're on the dark path." And also I just freed them from imprisonment, which doesn't seem like a dark thing to do.
Yeah.
Seems like a cool thing to do.
So then they give you like 2 options of stuff to do, and I basically told them like, well, I make my own path in the world, like I choose my own path. After I selected that, my character knocked that guy the fuck out, and I'm like, what? Why would you do that? That's not what I said. I said I chose my own path. Like, I'm self-determining. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to let other people tell me what to do. I'm just going to forge my own way. Then the dark. So you have this like angel on your shoulder and dark demon on your shoulder.
This. Yeah.
So the dark character comes up from my shoulder and is like, "Oh yeah, evil, so cool," and is like, "Yeah, that's how we show them." Then the angel on my shoulder appeared and is like, are you really sure that this is the way that you want to do things?" And then it gave me another binary choice, which was basically like, I do things my own way, or you don't tell me what to do. And then the other option was blot out the world. And I'm like, well, that seems a little too harsh. So I'm just going to pick this
extreme.
I'm gonna pick the not nihilistic thing, because I'm not playing a freaking edgelord in this game. I'm just playing I'm gonna forge my own path. It is survival of the fittest, and so I'm gonna try to be as strong as possible so that I ensure that I survive. Not like I'm gonna stomp everyone and, destroy everything. Like, that's not how I'm playing this game.
Right.
But there's not really room for that interpretation in this game. So when I was like, okay, I'm not going to say blot out the world. I'm just going to say, I'm going to do my own stuff. I'm going to do things my own way. And I chose that. The angel was like, "Oh, I'm so thankful that you made the right choice." And then the demon got annoyed and left. And it gave me a net positive light side benefit. And I'm like, wait, what? So I free this guy. I then choose the dark side answer, and it knocks him out without telling me it's going to do that. And then when I basically tell the demon he can't tell me what to do, the angel gets all happy, and it basically undoes the dark points that I got earlier. So none of the choices that I made at any point were, one, predictable based on what I had said, or two, felt like they had any weight whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the state of this game. Like that,
Like, I don't know. I kind of get the, like, remember Infamous 1, they made it like painfully obvious of like, do you want to like
highlighted in blue or red or whatever?
And it was like, do you want to
harvest
steal
the biological energy from these people, or use your own power and give it up to like fuel this like medical center or something?
Right. It was like very cut and dry, and it was kind of like, all right, like, am I going for a good playthrough or not?
But they were actual moral choices,
right? But this is also like not like fair. They're just, because it's almost messing with you. It's like, oh, clearly this is what this must mean, and the writer's just like, I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird.
I really wish I loved it, and I'm very disappointed because I know there are a lot. And this is something like Mitch said this on Twitter. He was like, it's been a really sad secret to keep that this game is not good, because every time a trailer drops, we've seen people be like, man, this is gonna rock. This is gonna rule. Like, this game rules. And I even looked at the comments on the IGN review, and some people were like, I'm gonna get it for myself and make my own determination. And I'm just like,
go for it.
We are doing a public service. We played this game so that you do not have to. Like,
I was watching a streamer.
If you want to do that, but
I was watching a streamer as I was making dinner right before we hopped on, and I felt bad because like I knew you were not hot on it at all, and I had just watched the IGM review, and he was like, he had been playing for like an hour, and everybody in the chat was like, there's a lot of dialogue in this game, and he's like, yeah, it's just a slow burn. Like, you could tell he was like still trying to like hold out hope, and I was like, oh, buddy, you're in for a rude awakening. This is it. This is the game.
And when you discover the primary antagonist's actual reasons for doing all the stuff they do, oh boy, it's so dumb. But like, it was funny because that twist, it's not even a freaking twist. It's so dumb. I saw it coming, and I was actually talking to Matt, friend of the show, Matt Adler, who's working on the wiki guide for it. And he didn't see it coming, but I was like, yep, I knew that was going to be what they were going to do.
Yeah.
It was so predictable to me. And there's just no depth to it. And it's just a shame. I don't want to keep ragging on it, but if you've been looking forward to this, maybe look somewhere else.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But I can talk about something really cool that I did this week.
What's
Okay.
that?
If we want to do that, did either of you play the Scarlet Nexus demo?
I started
No,
to.
I didn't know there even was a demo, so I'm gonna
It's on
have to go do
Xbox.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even better. So
Yes.
gonna have
So
to go do that.
Yeah.
we're talking the exact opposite. This was me. So we've looked at some of these games before, like where there are these like Japanese role playing games where like there you get your astral chains and different stuff that I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, and then like inevitably it like doesn't hook me, or like when it comes out it's like not very good or whatever. This was one that kind of, it hadn't slipped under my radar, but I feel so beat down by games that look decent or fun that end up being bad that I like basically had no faith in it. So when there was a demo, I was like, well, let me just fire this up and get this over with. And then I literally beat the demo. Like, it is so freaking good, you guys.
Ooh, I do not agree. It's not that I don't.
No?
It's not that I don't think it's good. I don't think it's for me.
Okay.
I played the demo for probably like a half hour, maybe like 45 minutes, and
Like, this is what I wanted from Code Vein.
sure.
Like, except it's not Dark Souls, it's more Devil May Cry.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
and that's just it. Like it had that Devil May Cry type of feeling to it, and I've just realized like that type of gameplay just isn't for me. Like I've tried to get into Bayonetta like time and time again, and like all these types of games.
I haven't been able to get into Bayonetta either.
Yeah, I don't
know why.
It's not clicking for me. I don't know what it is.
Y'all,
I think it
Bayonetta.
looks really cool. Like the trailers and everything. I think like the world seems, pretty interesting. I think
like
part of
killing
it too was the and this is such a stupid gripe. When I watch anime, I typically watch it in Japanese. I do it subbed. This game, when you try to play Japanese voice acting with subtitles, the subtitles are like off to the side. So like you'll be in the middle of playing, and he's like saying whatever he's saying in Japanese, and I couldn't do what I was doing and read it at the same time.
Interesting.
I feel like it's
I
easier when
typically
it's
do
like
it-
at the bottom.
I typically do it with Japanese as well, but this one I actually played in English.
Yeah, and then I went back to
Um,
English, and the voice acting just didn't do it for me, and I was like, you know what,
It's fine.
I'm out. Yeah,
It's fine. This was definitely like what we were talking about earlier. This is definitely a case of like, I think the world building is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that the dialogue or anything does anything for me, but I think that there's some interesting futuristic stuff that's going on. Like people can talk to each other in their minds.
Yep.
Like they can link up and borrow each other's like psychic powers. And like that leans into a really interesting combat loop that I thought was really fun.
yeah.
I
thought the control, like force power that he had was kind of cool.
Yeah, dude,
combined with like Devil May Cry. But
what was it that I said? It's like Devil May Cry cross Control cross Nier Automata.
yeah,
But I actually like it better than almost all of those games.
yeah.
It's crazy, dude.
I think
It's
I think
like-
it'll review very well, and like people that are into that genre will be like, hell yeah. But
It's one of those games where it's like it has so many interesting little things where it's like, okay, it's basically got like the sphere grid from Final Fantasy X, where you can like level up and go into different branching paths to like improve upon your stuff, which is great. Like that's cool. And then it also has team mechanics where like the people that are on your team really matter because you're borrowing their powers for your combos and stuff. So like if you're going up against a really hard hitting enemy, you borrow the power of the guy who can make his skin really hard. If you're going up against like a plant-based enemy or like an oily enemy, you borrow the firepower from from your partner that has fire powers. And
I
like
only
all the
fight plant-based enemies.
then there's also like invisible enemies where like there's somebody who has like a vision power and you borrow that and then they become visible. And then there's another one that has like a teleportation power where you can teleport through fences and reach like secret parts of the map to get like upgrades and stuff. And it's just, they're so like virtually all of these games, like look at Code Vein, even for what I thought that game did okay. Those environments look so generic. They look so boring. They look so cookie cutter. This was the first one where like I was playing this and I was like, this almost looks like Metal Gear Solid 5 with like the way that the environments look and like the attention to detail with like traffic cones and trash and stuff like that around, I like almost got vibes of Phantom Pain as I was looking around. Like it's not at that level.
I was gonna say I absolutely didn't, but
no, it's like splitting the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like between like those typical like anime action games and like something like Metal Gear Solid, because it's not The Last of Us. Like, but like I feel like Metal Gear Solid's world building is like lower than that, but more realistic than like your average game.
Yeah.
So like this felt more elevated. This felt more interesting. It was kind of like, you know what? It's kind of like a busier, more technically impressive version of like Persona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with like the environmental detail and stuff. It still looks kind of anime like that, but I did think that like the combat just kept it interesting. The boss battle was really cool because, you know, you fight in a big arena and you do the typical things of like, actually I didn't even explain how you do this. So you do multi-hit combos. You can do like square, 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 or like XXX as like your 3-hit combo. Then you can use one medium attack, which is like a big circling slash that can hit multiple enemies, but you can only use that once per combo. So you have to put it in like wherever you need it. And then as you do your melee attacks, you charge up your like psychic gauge that you use to like levitate and like force pull and slam items into enemies, which you can also turn into parts of combos. Because as you throw items at people, you can quickly hit the slash button and you'll like close the distance and do like a quick attack. Or you can, you know, and you can get to the place where you can do multiple like psychic slam moves in the same combo, which was something that I was really leaning into. And then like there's like a limit break mode or whatever, like kind of like the Kingdom Hearts like forms, like Valor form or whatever, where like everything gets cheaper, your things do more damage, you're faster, like that sort of thing. Like there's a mode like that, which I forget what it's called. It's like brain hack or something mode. But then you can also do like right bumper plus any of the face buttons and borrow those powers from your friends for a while that like make all of your attacks reach further and do flame damage and stuff. Is really, really cool. Like, check out this game. Like, I don't know where the other demos are, but there's definitely a demo for free on Xbox, and it's.
I think that's
like,
the only one. Like, I know there isn't one on PC, and I don't think there's one on. I'm almost positive there isn't one on PlayStation. I actually didn't even know this game was coming out on PlayStation until I like stumbled upon it because Microsoft's like marketing team is pushing it so hard as like an Xbox game.
The first. Okay, here we go. Coming June 25th to Series X, Series S, Xbox One, PS4, PS5, PC. Yeah. So definitely check this out. It's really, really cool. That might just be, it's going to be enhanced for Xbox One X. It's going to have 4K, no HDR, and it's going to be optimized for Series X as well.
I thought it ran really well.
It did, dude.
Yeah,
it runs.
It's really smooth. Yeah,
it's really, really good. And let me tell you, so it's a Bandai Namco game. They're kind of hit and miss with the stuff that they deliver. And this I definitely feel like is gonna be one to keep an eye on if you're into this sort of thing at all. And I think you get something extra. I know that they're like, you'll get a special item or something like if you complete the demo. It's like a series of like 3 areas, and then you beat the boss, and then you get something. And I think there's also like a QR code that you can. Oh no, that's for an AR experience, which like I don't care about that.
I don't care about that. I just want the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like cool like customization options of like, you know, there's like wings in your inventory or like a tail. You can customize your character and make them look some sort of way, and you also pick up like different weapons and stuff. It looks interesting. I wonder if they'll give you. Or no. I think you pick the story in the demo. You pick you're either a woman or a man. But I thought that the world building was interesting. I thought it was really, really good. This was one of those that went from my maybe it'll be okay to like this is one of my top anticipated games of this year.
No, I mean the first time I saw it, I was like, this will be for the people that are into that genre. Like this will be a huge game. I had no doubt in my mind, but. I was hoping it was going to grab me.
That was what I was hoping.
But
that's
it
what I
just
was hoping.
isn't
But
for
so
me.
often when these games come out, they're like, you're gonna have to suffer through it, like because it's kind of what you want. And this is the first one that feels like, no, this is actually what I want.
Yeah.
I
think you're right about
awesome.
Bandai Namco though. Like they're definitely like Attack on Titan. I was really hot on when that game came out. But I've definitely played a lot of their other titles that I've just been like,
Yeah,
One
like Code
Punch
Vein
Man.
was not great. One Punch Man was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But this one is, I'm very excited
Real
for that.
good.
It's really good.
You've made me more excited because I forgot all about it, and then you brought it up. I was like, oh yeah,
Harry in
that
the
game's
chat.
amazing.
You got to play this demo, dude.
Harry in the chat just pointed out it comes out the same day as Mario Golf. Which one are you going to be doing then?
I'm getting both, and I'll have one portable, and I'll have one that's my console destination.
That's cute because once you start playing Mario Golf, baby, that's it. That's all you're gonna need.
It might be it, but but we'll see. We'll see. I love
Mario Golf, but they are very distinctly different itches.
I am definitely getting Mario Golf. I told you I would get Mario Golf, and I'm definitely gonna do it. So
man, I can't wait for you to hate that game. It's gonna be great. You're gonna hate it so much. I'm gonna be like,
have you played
game of the year?
Have you played a Mario Golf, Brian?
No.
Oh, well, did you ever play like what was it? What was the one on PlayStation?
I played Golf Story. No, I never played any of those. The only golf game I played 2 golf games. Okay. I played what was it? Oh my god. Was it Jack Nicholson Golf on NES?
Oh my god, you're old.
And then I played Golf Story on Switch.
Have a golf game?
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholas.
Jack Nicholas.
Jack Nicholas.
Yeah, Jack Nicholas is an
old
PGA golfer.
Why are they giving
Let me
Jack
see what's
golf game?
an NES golf games.
I mean, there's golf with Mario on the cover.
There is golf, and I have that because that's on Nintendo Switch Online, but I've never played it.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, Mario Golf came out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm sure for its time it was amazing.
N64, I think, is the first one.
Actually,
right?
you know
Game
what?
Boy Color.
A version of that of golf on NES was actually in Golf Story. There's like a little store that you can go in and you play a game called Galf, which is GALF.
Galf.
And it's and it's just a ripoff of that. And I
have a copy. Well, it's upstairs, but I have a copy of it.
Is it PGA Golf NES?
You want to talk about the best golf games of all time? It's Toadstool Tour, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005 on Xbox and PS2. Mario Golf Advanced Tour was pretty good. Golf Story was very good.
That's the one, baby. Hold on. Let me copy this image and paste it in here.
Oh, I'm not going to grab it.
If you can grab it.
I'm going to mess up the thing.
That's the one.
Yeah. So it looks terrible, but you can see it.
Wow.
That's the one, baby.
I've played
Konami's Jack Nicklaus.
There's
looks like that golf game that Bart gets.
I was just going to say that. There's a Simpsons bit about that where he's like, I want like Deathcore 5 or like whatever like the Mortal Kombat game is. And that's what Marge gets him. And he's like, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's the golf game that I played. And then I played Golf Story for Nintendo Switch and reviewed it for Nintendo.
Golf Story is excellent.
That game rips. I love it. So,
Remember
but that's
when
not
one of the best
that's
games
a top
on
down.
Switch?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Dude, let me tell you, there are a lot of great game consoles out there. PS4 is like up there for me, but let me tell you, Switch is also one of the all-time greats.
But like, when's the last time you touched it?
Not recently.
Not for a while. Yeah.
I was like, Pokemon Snap, baby. I haven't played it since launch day. I played it like
I forgot
one
it even came out.
Yep.
There's no way I'm playing Pokemon Snap.
That was like big for a weekend, and that was it.
But I just forgot.
I should get back into it, but
anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I didn't want to just do Biomutant. I also wanted to talk about something hype that I've been getting into. And everybody, if you're out there, you got access to an Xbox. Play the Scarlet Nexus demo because it's
you absolutely should.
It's fun.
Oh, you know what? Real quick, while we're on the topic of Xbox, they have added normally I'd be like, I'm not even gonna look at this. They added touch controls to a lot of their Project xCloud games.
Ooh.
And I tried
I'm actually getting a Project xCloud compatible device in a couple of days.
There you go. You'll be able to try it out. So I was testing. Obviously, I launched Banjo Tooie, and just to see like how the controls work. You know what's crazy about it is they actually like map the touch controls differently depending upon the game that you're playing, and then they work differently depending on what you're playing. So like the L button or like the left trigger in Banjo Tooie is like the crouch, but it's more of like it's not a hold and release. It's like a toggle. So like if you want to do like Talon Trot, where it's like left trigger and right trigger, and then you like like across the map, it'll leave the left trigger held even though you're not holding it. So like each game, and then the placement of the buttons is different for like each one that they like add this to. It's like really impressive. Like it's not the way to play it by any means, but like if you're like sitting, I don't know, waiting for food or like whatever, and you have like a solid internet connection, like it's a good way to like pop into something and just like
it's one of those things that's only going to get better.
Yeah. But I was surprised like when I started it up. I was like, this is gonna suck. Because I'm so used to like every emulator having like the two thumbsticks in the middle that like move, and then like the buttons are like ghosted on the screen. It wasn't bad. I was surprised.
And they need you to be like super precise.
Yep.
With everything. I actually recently, it's funny you bring that up, touch controls. I recently played this random game, I can't remember. It was like almost like a Diablo clone on mobile, and I just tried it because I like to try a lot of random mobile games. And I was actually kind of shocked at how intuitive the controls were and how it didn't feel like terrible. I was like, oh, this feels actually like all right, you know?
I feel like I open the Google Play Store though, and I never know. Like I'm like, oh man, I should get a game that like I can get sucked into, and it's always like Toon Blast. Like that's all I ever end up picking.
I'll give you some recommendations.
Yeah,
actually,
I need your mobile game picks.
I'm definitely going to need some of those as well, because I'm going to be moving from that Apple ecosystem to the Google one.
Well, and now you'll be.
All right, let me tell you right now. Post Night and Post Night 2. I've been playing Post Night 2. Great little game. This other game called Diecast. Definitely recommend.
Nerd.
And then Flick Solitaire.
What is that? That sounds right up my alley.
Flick Solitaire is tight.
Flick Solitaire. That's like a Christmas Stories themed solitaire.
I was going to say
it's
a Bug's
where you
Life
lick a light pole or whatever.
So it's normal solitaire, right? But also pyramid solitaire, which I got into because of this, and now probably play more than regular solitaire. But just the crux of it is that it's you just play solitaire, but it gets progressively harder. And they say every single stage has an actual solution. So if you don't finish it, you can restart it. Like it's more puzzly, which is nice because that's the worst feeling, right? It's like playing solitaire and you're like, oh, there was literally no way I was actually gonna win this.
If you don't finish it because you're stupid.
In this one, it's like, well, you just made the wrong move or something, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't do this one thing like correctly. It's
I will definitely check that out. I have played much a solitaire in my day on mobile devices. But
would you
Brian,
like more a solitaire?
More a solitaire. Brian, the other thing that you have to remember is that now that you're going to be back in the Android ecosystem, I don't know if you ever were before.
I've never been.
Oh, man. So you have emulators at the wazoo. You can run Dolphin on that thing. You can run...
That'll be fun.
You know? If you get,
that'll be fun.
Yourself a little controller mount, you can play whatever you want right on your phone. It's a classic game.
Remasticus in chat says most mobile games are a gamble for characters, and that is an unfortunate state of affairs for a lot of games.
But I'd say a lot of the ones that like pop up on the store.
A lot of the top 50 lists.
And honestly, if you're not into that, then avoid the idle RPG category altogether. I stopped playing them because I was just like, I'm not into this. I find like cool little puzzle games, or I just download a lot of like a little random things. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there. The problem is it's buried.
Yeah.
Well, and now like that business model isn't strictly relegated to mobile anymore, because now there's a big game on consoles that is that with Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
So,
that's also on mobile.
Yeah, but like,
but I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
it's cropping up its head elsewhere. So
Yeah, man, I installed that game and then I read what Josh said, reminding me about the Hong Kong protest thing, and I was like,
yep.
maybe I just shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't give it
Yeah.
my time.
I know somebody who's a big fan of it, and I played like up through the first mission, and it seemed fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
but-
totally fine, but I mean,
I've heard it's very grindy. Also,
well, sure.
Which, like as we've established, I'm not.
I don't know that I need
super into.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Chat watched the stream
Depends.
for about 30 seconds and moved on. Yeah, I keep seeing ads for it, and for some reason I feel the need to check it out, but it's just I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna get that space back on my PS5.
Yeah, so one of my friends that works in PR is always talking about it and pulling like crazy characters or whatever, and I'm just like, man, like I feel like I should play it, but at the same time, I'm just like, there are already so many games on my backlog. Like when I was messaging you guys the other day, I was like, all right, should I try my first Resident Evil game? Should I try to play Disco Elysium? Should I play Neo 2, which is like should be right up my alley? Or like
I'm surprised you haven't played that.
What was the other one? Ghost of Tsushima or something?
Yeah.
I ordered that game and installed it, and like I just haven't gotten to it. So it's just like stuff like Genshin Impact just gets pushed so far down the list, even if it could be, other than the grindiness, even though it could be like right up my alley. Like there's just too much. There's too much that's more important, I think, for me to look at.
There's too many filet mignons for you to just settle on a cheeseburger.
For me to go get a Big Mac.
There's no platinum in Genshin Impact? I'm deleting that shit right now. Where's the remote play at?
Yeah, chat just told us, also no platinum in Genshin Impact, which for some people, if this was me 2 years ago, that would have been a deal breaker. Now,
which I find really, really funny, but I don't know.
What? Now you're Mr. I don't care about trophies or achievements at all.
Haven't cared about them in a long time.
I wish I did. You know what's funny?
Which I think it's freeing. It is freeing.
I don't care about
it is. I just play what
achievements.
I like.
I only care about trophies because I found on Xbox I have no problem being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play Splinter Cell like the original on Series X because like it's up-res in HD and all that good stuff. And I'm like, that game doesn't have trophies, but like that game rips. Like I will definitely play that game without any hesitation.
I felt the same way, but I felt that way because I feel like Microsoft doesn't punish me for not 100%ing something.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
it constantly your every achievement feeds to your point total, and if you want to dip at any point, you've still added to the point total, and that point total is attached to your name, so you take it everywhere. So it's like
I feel like
that's just a better, like a healthier system.
No, yeah, and I feel like that's the level system that they've implemented with the PS5 is like Sony's attempt at that, but they also know that people that are diehard into platinums, they can't get rid of that. So they have like both, but I still feel married to the platinum system.
Yeah.
Weird.
All right. Before we get any further, let's talk about some of the other stuff that you guys are getting into that you really want to talk about. Chris or Josh, what do you want to do?
Go first because I got to walk away for 1 sec.
Word.
All right.
So we've been going through the Fast and Furious. I'll rip through these pretty quickly. The Fast and Furious franchise lately. Are you somebody that watches the Fast and Furious movies?
I've only seen 2 of them. I saw the first one.
Okay.
And then I saw the one where they drive through collapsing tunnels to Mexico.
Okay. That's, I think, 5. Yeah, I think that was the
so I've only seen those 2. I had friends who were big into them. So like on occasion when they'd be like, yo, I want to go watch Fast and Furious. Do you want to go to the movies with me? I'd be like, I'll go to the movies. Who cares?
Like, why not? Turn off your brain for 2 hours.
But it's never been, it's been a really weird thing as somebody who's not particularly into those movies. It's been really weird to like see the discussion on them ramp up to like, we're going to space. There's a Superman in this one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, okay.
We're really doing it. So, and that's what's so funny is like when I grew up, I remember my brothers watching the first 2. And my brother Kevin, I feel like he took that movie like as like the gospel. Not that he was like a street racer, but like that was just very much like his aesthetic. It was just like that. Hey man,
do everything 1/4 mile at a time.
Yeah, exactly. My PS5 just popped up.
Nice.
Oh, they can hear it. Hold on, I'm gonna close it.
Hey.
Man, those movies though, like for the longest time, like a trailer would come out and I would watch it and I'd be like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't believe anybody watches this crap. Dude, I'm so into these movies now. Like, we've been watching each one like sequentially, like, you know, in release order. That we absolutely love them. We think they're so much fun.
Who is we?
Me and Jess.
Okay.
So like Jess is the one like, what are we doing Tuesday? And I'm like, I don't know, why. Can we watch a Fast and Furious movie? Like she loves these movies now. It's so funny because like we just used to rip on them all the time.
That's really funny.
And now we're at this weird point where like obviously Paul Walker passed away.
Which is it's a shame.
And they, you know, I don't know if they write him off in the movie or how they do it. But like she's like,
I think they have his brother. I think they have his brother in them
or whatever of him, or...
and then they CG his face onto his brother or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how that's gonna look, but
Face Off.
No, not Face Off. Talking Fast and Furious.
Paul Walker's Face Off.
Yeah, but
like in Face Off.
Oh, Joshy moved. Anyway,
sorry, I was eating a fry.
That's okay.
You don't want to.
I didn't want to eat on camera. My food showed up.
That's okay.
Oh, what do I do?
Hey, that'll put us into a different category, outside of podcasts and talk shows.
All I need is a hot tub, and we'll be.
What is it? What is it? Casual conversations and eat, or like social eating or whatever.
Yeah.
Mukbang. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But so we're very excited for Fast and Furious 9 is what I'm trying to say, because we're just like ripping through these movies and they're super fun. Like if you've been on the fence about them and you're like, I don't understand the appeal. I was once like you not too long ago, and boy howdy am I in on this franchise because it is so stupid and so much fun. Especially if you have somebody to watch it
I'm glad they
with.
make you happy.
Yeah.
Because as someone who's seen a few of them, they're not for me.
I don't expect you to like them, but you don't like most things that make people happy. So there's that.
Me? What are you talking about?
Well, you're also very critical of movies, whereas I'm at the point in my life where I can just like let the shades just kind of like go down.
I don't feel like I'm that bad.
Dude, I definitely feel like I'm the one who is the most critical of all three of us.
You're critical of everything, though. That's different.
And I feel like Josh definitely.
Like, have you seen my Letterboxd account? Like, my average is like 3, probably.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we are media critics, small, medium, and large.
Yeah,
I definitely
that's
think
pretty accurate, actually.
I think Chris is the most generous. I think Josh kind of cuts it through the middle, and I'm like, I'm
mostly I'm just like, if this isn't for me, I'm not gonna watch it.
Sure.
So I don't really.
I'm like the nice mom who's like, but you tried really hard. Like,
I feel like Josh that way about some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to be like
to dunk on
rude,
creators.
But then there are some movies that you watch and you're like, okay, this deserves
all the lashings that it receives. Yeah.
and like, I know that this is like way after the discussion, but like in no scenario am I trying to, like, when we're talking about Biomutant or anything, in no scenario am I trying to like trash Experiment 101. People work really hard on games.
I think it's just it comes from a place of frustration because of what that game.
We want it to be good.
We want it to be good, and I think it's where what that game could have been.
We want everything. We want everything to be a 10. Yeah.
Shrive's the nice mom with the platformers.
The chat has got it right. Chat has absolutely got it right. Shrives is the nice mom.
Sandwiches.
It's very true.
Ooh,
it's very true. Man, a cucumber sandwich sounds pretty great.
Jess made something over the weekend. I hate cucumber, so I didn't eat any. But
why?
I'm a weirdo. There's certain things I don't eat.
How?
I'm not gonna get into it. I'm very
doesn't make any sense
picky about
to me.
very specific things. I don't like any cold food. Is what it comes down to.
Ever?
Well, then
unless it's
let
ice
them
cream.
be
I don't want a cold
temperature
cut
or something.
I don't want like a egg salad. I don't want a salad.
Oh my god, dude! I love a good egg salad.
I don't want any of it.
Also, salads
salad?
are delicious.
No. The idea of tuna, the idea of tuna disgusts me.
Dude, tuna salad. Oh my goodness, Brian, you and me, we'll get a tuna salad sandwich.
This man is nuts, dude. I will make
I think you need to get into it,
dude. I love a good tuna melt.
I will make you a tuna sandwich that will change your life.
I will hate it.
Change your life.
And you will hate it.
I
It
will
will change your life for the
absolutely hate it.
worst, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Brian,
hate
are
it and
you-
I'll
are
spit
you-
it out.
Are you a pickle fan or a green apple fan in
Green
your tuna
apple.
salad?
In my tuna,
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so pickle by way of sweet relish.
I do hate sushi.
Okay.
What about a tuna melt? I've never
You
had
make
a tuna
no
melt.
sense. All of a sudden, you know,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing
you're
about tuna.
becoming.
I like. It's a smell thing. I don't like the smell of tuna. Like I remember.
Wait, what about a tuna melt or a gazpacho?
Or gazpacho. I've actually never. I would probably like a gazpacho. I distinctly remember my brother used to eat a tuna
That's
sandwich
going off.
every day for lunch.
I
And
love
like
it.
he would crack the can open. I'd be in the living room playing video games. As soon as he cracked that can open in the kitchen, I
Okay,
was just like, oh,
They must have had
like,
bad tuna.
it was bumblebee tuna.
That's
Bumblebee tuna?
bad.
That's bad tuna.
I don't know
That's
what to tell you,
bad
man.
tuna.
Mama Shriver bought what Mama Shriver bought. We were just little chickens. We were just running around, trying to survive.
I cannot believe you don't like sushi. That is outrageous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've never had
like,
a sushi
there's-
that I like.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you need to come here because it
No, that has
Not to be
nothing.
like-
That has nothing to do with it.
has everything to
It
do
has
with it.
absolutely
Chris
I
nothing
Shriver.
to
would
do with it.
say
I live in
I
the
would
Bay
say-
Area. We have fresh fish readily available at all
we
times.
have fresh fish here in Houston.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm
I
sure
like
you do.
crab.
But you're also a state that has water connected to it.
Yep.
I mean, we're right next to Jersey.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the fact that you actually live in a place that has really good hot sandwiches, I would be really surprised that you don't like cold food in general, because cold sandwiches are really great. Like a nice deli sandwich.
Nah, man.
Oh my
Absolutely
God.
not.
Yeah.
I
The
don't want
delis
it at
near
all.
the delis
Like
next to my house.
here's
are
what
freaking
happens,
great.
right? You walk in. I'm gonna get real Philly for a second. You walk into the Wawa, and you go to the
Wawa is great.
and you go to the kiosk, or you go to your Sheets, and you're like, I want a sandwich.
This is a podcast about video games.
This is a podcast about video games, and I want a sandwich. And then it's like you can either get, you can get the turkey club, with your tomatoes and your lettuce, or you can get a
Turkey club is
meatball. You can get a
great!
meatball parm, or a chicken parm, or a cheesesteak. The cheesesteaks at Wawa are really terrible, but you understand what I'm saying. Like
I got a
can get
breakfast
hot-
sandwich with scrambled eggs at Wawa when I was with you, and it was great.
It was
so
great.
I
But when you-
understand I understand liking a hot sandwich, but to say you just straight up don't like cold sandwiches,
I don't like cold sandwiches.
is crazy.
I go to
There
Subway.
are so many different types of cold sandwiches that you could like.
Yeah,
It's like-
you can
I like-
literally like any.
You know
There's
where-
so many different kinds.
You know where the
like,
buck
You can get
stops?
literally anything you want.
We know where the buck stops is PB&J and Fluffernutter. That's like as far as I go.
That's a cold sandwich.
No, but that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that is
I
a
don't
cold
like. I don't like.
Wait, hold
I don't
on,
like
hold on.
cold
That's
meat
a
in my
room
mouth.
temperature sandwich.
I don't like cold meat in my mouth. That's what it comes down to.
You like hot. You
I
like,
like
that
it
hot in your
hot.
mouth?
I like it hot and cooked well. Maybe a little toasted.
So Ramasticus asks another interesting question. So no cereal.
I love cereal. How dare you?
That's cold food.
That's not a
Cold
sandwich.
food.
It's not a sandwich.
Okay, we veered onto sandwiches. You originally said you don't like cold food.
I'd prefer no, but here's
Get
the
your
thing.
story straight,
Again, here's the
Shriver.
thing. If I'm at a restaurant and they're like, you can have Fruit Loops or you can get a bacon, egg,
What
and
kind of
cheese
restaurant is
sandwich,
this?
or you're at a diner. I don't know.
You're like,
If I'm
welcome
at-
to
if I'm at-
Leblanc. Would you like the Fruit Loops?
the Fruit Loops?
Hello. Excuse me, tonight we have a very nice vintage Lucky Charms.
The
You're
milk.
like, give me
She
peanut
changes
butter crunch
color.
or bust.
Ugh.
I am not flip flopping.
Chat
Alright.
is lighting this man up. It's great.
Hold on. Now they're just saying like I don't like cold food. That is not what I meant by that. What I said is I don't like cold meat in my mouth at all.
That is another thing you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So scroll back,
so-
and I think you will say you didn't like cold food. But
Let's
if
do
we
this.
need to amend that, then that's fine.
All right, we're gonna end it with this. I'm gonna say I don't like the deli. If it's something adjacent to a deli sandwich, I want nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I go to
so weird
Arby's
to
and I
me.
panic. Like,
That's fair.
yeah, or a
I
Subway.
mean, it's not fair. It's not fair that you panic at Arby's because they make hot meat mostly.
Yeah, but you know what
uh,
the problem with Arby's is a lot of their meat. At least I've only had Arby's like once or twice. every time I've had it, it is the wettest sandwich. Like there's so
That must be your
Dude.
Arby's.
Oh, it was
Every
awful.
Arby's sandwich I have is super dry unless you put sauce on it.
No, dude.
Yeah,
I once had I know you're not supposed to get it there. I once had a roast beef which had way too much sauce on it. I also had
Wait, why are you not supposed to get it?
No. The other one you're not supposed to get. A buffalo chicken sandwich at Arby's.
Oh, I had that one time. That was way too wet.
It was sopping wet. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I was eating a sponge.
Okay, so that's an individual sandwich problem.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Okay.
It
So
was like a
lesson
one
learned.
time.
Lesson learned.
Look, he's trying to they make a good hero or gyro, whatever you call it. I don't
It's a
want
hero.
anything to do with it. I don't want a hero.
Dude, they're cooked. What do you have the problem with?
It is
Not
deli
even
meat
cold in there.
adjacent.
Yeah. And
Heat
you know what?
adjacent?
Deli
No,
meat
deli meat adjacent. he said.
adjacent.
How?
What's it? What is in it? Let's look. Let's discover.
It's
together.
I mean,
like
it's
like a white sauce and
a
like
gyro
some
is lamb.
vegetables and cooked meat. Yeah, like
yeah, it's
freaking delicious.
It's tzatziki sauce, like
Oh, it's
cucumber.
shawarma. All right, maybe I would
tomato.
like a hero.
It's a little different than a shawarma,
That's
but yeah.
why I'll never eat a hero, even though I don't know what's in it.
I have no idea what's in it. I have no
Freaking
idea.
deliciousness is what's in it.
Gyros are a hot.
Where
sandwich,
do we
though, yeah.
land on falafel?
Chat is correct. Falafel is good, but sometimes it's not
pretty
filling
good, yeah.
enough.
It's not
Yeah.
filling enough. I love falafel. I think it's delicious.
I think it's
Yeah.
good, but I definitely need to also have some protein with the meal. Or else
Yeah,
it
I
just
get
doesn't-
that. I get that.
I'm
It's
not
honestly,
really picky, so
I'm gonna be real with you. I got to a weird point in my life where having pancakes or having waffles just did not stick with me at all. When I was a kid and growing up, and I think maybe until I was in my 20s, I could have a short stack of pancakes and be good for a while. And then I just got to this point where even if I was having a Belgian waffle or a short stack of silver dollar pancakes, they go straight through me and I'm hungry 45 minutes later.
Well, I feel like waffles in general are not filling. I feel like a short stack is usually a safe bet. Like a short stack, some eggs, some bacon is all right, I'm gonna be full until I may not need lunch. But you give me one waffle, it's I need 6 more of these. This is not gonna cut it. It's too fluffy.
Well, usually I actually even supplement. I put peanut butter on it before I put the syrup on it, because that was something I learned.
I didn't know there were others.
I
didn't know there were others out there.
Wait, are you the same?
There are dozens of us.
Not every time because it's so indulgent, but sometimes, yeah,
is.
dude. You make the Eggos, you put peanut butter on them, and then syrup. Oh my goodness! People
Yeah.
growing up,
I
I,
do
used to
that-
tell people that, and they think I was crazy. And I'm like, dude, have you ever had it? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, all right then.
I learned that from my grandpa, who was a World War II vet. Thumbs up.
Hey.
Rest in peace, Grandpa. But we used to make short stacks of pancakes, and between each layer, you would put a slim section of crunchy peanut butter in between each of those pancakes, and then pour a little bit of syrup, and then you put another one up, and you just layer up like that. You can maybe put a little bit of butter on there as well. Maybe heat it up in the microwave and pour a little bit of butter on top.
Do you put
It's so
butter on
good.
every pancake?
Yeah,
If I'm not doing peanut butter, yes.
yeah.
If I
you,
am
you
doing
put
peanut
it
butter-
between all of the different individual pancakes, so you get a nice bread, right? So
Yeah.
According to
if-
my Twitter poll, 2 out of 3 people prefer smooth over chunky peanut butter.
yeah,
I mean that's chunky is the only
And-
way for me.
I've been getting the reduced fat Jif, and this is the only reason. It tastes exactly the same as normal Jif, but it spreads so much smoother.
It's
Tastes
very
exactly the
good.
same.
That's the one with the white label,
Very good.
right?
It's like green.
Oh.
Yeah, it's green
Yeah.
and red, right?
Oh, maybe I bought the low sodium one. I
Jif?
don't know.
You made about the low sodium, but
Yeah,
the low fat
chunky
Jif.
chunky
that's
is the
good
way.
stuff.
Trader Joe's chunky peanut butter.
Dude,
Excellent.
think I've had it.
down here there's a grocery chain called HEB. They have the best peanut butter I've ever had. They're just house brand.
Mm.
It's unbelievable. It's so good.
Chunky.
So good.
Looking for them girls with the big old hoops.
What?
You're way over.
You know what? I'm a big fan of where this is gone. Josh, did you want to talk about something before we wrap?
Hades is a good game. Children of Morta is a good game.
What is
all I
Children
got.
of Morta?
It's a roguelite where you play. Brian talked about it many
I'm
moons
trying to
ago,
remember what it looks like.
and I
gotta
saw
look
it on
up.
Game Pass. So I was like, yeah, I need to give this a go. But it's
Yeah,
like
I
you
did an
play as a bunch
impression
of
of it
different
before.
family members that are all a bunch of different classes, and you
Yes.
go through dungeons and level up and stuff. But
The
like
dad's like the sword and board.
lot
The daughter is an
Yeah.
archer. The son is like a rogue, like a dual wielding rogue with a knife.
and a lot of story content and stuff too, which is really nice. And there's like a narrator that plays out all the stuff. So almost every time you do a run, you come back, there's some kind of story beat to go along with it.
That's cool.
Pretty great.
Also, I don't know if I don't know if I beat the second section, but the boss of the first section is like really fun. The second section I felt considerably harder.
I'm in the
than
first
one.
portal still, but I'm on the third stage.
Yeah.
And then I started Hades this weekend, which I'm like, this is great. What a great video game.
That got rated for the PS4 by ESRB.
Oh
Did
yeah,
it now.
yeah, it did.
Yep.
Playing it
So
on PC.
Hades is going to be coming to PlayStation, which is great for people on PlayStation.
I am
because
very
that's a
excited.
that is a 10 out of 10 game as far as I'm concerned.
I
So
just wanted it on the Xbox, but
yeah, the more I imagine it will
has to.
probably come there eventually.
one day.
Yeah.
Well, like Pyre never did.
That's true.
Well, Sony paid for
didn't.
that though, I think.
Did
No,
they?
it was on PC as well.
Oh,
On Steam.
then I have no explanation for you.
And it was on Steam before it was on PlayStation.
I wonder how well that game sold. I feel like not many people bought it.
I feel
mean,
like
they
I'm
made
one of the
Hades.
few people who really loves it. Like
I love
most,
that game. It was NBA
most
Jam.
people-
I actually have never played it, but Nicole didn't really like playing it. But I love NBA Jam, so I was like, I might actually like this, but I haven't played it.
I love it. I think that has one of the most interesting stories and by far the most interesting world of any of the games that they've written. It's really fascinating. I keep meaning to go back and play it, but there's just too much to get to.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, Supergiant is freaking great. So I think that'll mean that every game will be available on PS4, every game of theirs, which is just great news for PlayStation fans. Because all of those games are great. Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, Hades. In my opinion, they keep getting better.
they just keep like that studio just evolves.
Yeah, like
Little by little.
Bastion is like a 7 to me, maybe 7.5. Transistor is like an 8 or 9. Pyre is like a 9 or 10, and Hades is a 10. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
They're so good. They're so freaking good. Yeah. Did you have anything in particular that you wanted to say about like Children of Morta? Because I know I covered it like a ways back, but just like when it came out, and I don't know how much it's changed recently.
I don't know because it's the first time I'm playing it, but I would say it's really good and worth people's time.
I think
Especially
the
if
loop
it's on
of coming
Game Pass.
back, when you get near to death and it warps you back to like the thing. I think that the rhythm of going back, talking to the smith and like upgrading your materials, forging new materials, like when
Seeing
you level
the
up,
family
like
members grow and stuff.
yeah, talking to them, different things like that. Like when you go home, you're going to your house. Like it's really, really interesting. It kind of goes to like third person omniscient perspective when you go back to the home, and you can kind of like zoom around and like check in and like, oh, grandma is out with the animals, or like the mom of the family is like out feeding the animals. The daughter is out like playing something on harp or something. You know, the boy is in his room like reading books, trying to find some way to like escape out and help fight the monsters and all this sort of stuff. Like it's cool. And like the rhythm feels really good. Also the upgrades I feel like are like pretty meaningful. Like as far as like the different characters when you're playing it, like when you upgrade the dad and it's like, whoa, I'm not gonna take as many hits, or I'm gonna do thorns damage, like where when people hit me they take damage as well, or like I'm gonna make my big area strike that hits everybody like on a way shorter cooldown or something. Like the upgrades all feel powerful, which is like a really good thing to do in these games.
Also, another thing I like is that unlike something like Returnal, your runs are like maybe 15 minutes tops. Because once you get to the end of a section, so like in Returnal's, I guess, case, like a biome, that's it. You don't keep going. You take what you got there and you go home. Like you don't go deeper and deeper and just have these like 4-hour runs, basically.
Yeah.
It's like I was here for 15 minutes or I was here for 10 minutes and I died. got all my stuff, and then I go back home and kind of like tinker around and then just go back in and try again. Like I like that much more. I don't like the like as time goes on, and we talked about this more in the show, and I don't want to get too into it because we need to wrap up, but like Returnal just feels way like everything in it feels way too long.
When you play enough of it, that game is exhausting. And
I'm definitely waiting to get it until they've put in some quality of life updates for sure.
It needs it. I also the other day I was doing a run. I was like an hour and a half into it. Game just crashed. Like lost.
Oh yeah,
everything. And it was like,
I've had that too.
and I had like all the items that I wanted. That I was like, oh my god, like this is what I had the
This
last
is the
time
run.
I got to the last boss, and I was like, okay. And then I've never made
It's
it
like
to
I'm
the
gonna
last
go
boss
do
again.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a break from that game. I need to play something else
Yeah.
because it's just like it's breaking my spirit because like I'm not. Josh and I were talking about it for the show. I'm not progressing, and it's just like I feel like I'm terrible at this game, and it's like very frustrating.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, go try Children of Morta.
You know what is great is The Last of Us Part 2 patch on the PS5.
Of course you dipped in.
Of course
How
I
is it?
dipped in. Dude, I started it up and I was like Jess walked in, she was like, "Oh no," because she saw my tweets like that day where I was like freaking out. And I was like, "It's incredible. It runs super well. It's the best it's ever played." Blah 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 blah. And like I got to it's like the very beginning of the game. You're like with Dina, and you're like on patrol, and I was like riding around and just them like chit chatting and everything, and I was like, I gotta dip out because as soon like what's gonna happen is like I'm gonna keep playing and this is all I'm gonna do because I was playing on Grounded. I haven't done that run yet, and I was just like, man, I can't get sucked into this game. Like there's so many other things to do right now.
Yeah.
But it runs so well. Like when
I can imagine.
when the time comes and I'm like, I'm ready. Like I'm very
This is gonna
excited.
be yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the one you're gonna do it.
Yeah, very, very excited.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, shall we end it there?
Sure.
All right.
Let's do it.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for episode 179 of The Platformers. If you have any topics, ideas, or thoughts or comments, you can hit us up on social media. You can find us all corporately at PlatformersPod on Twitter. You can find me, you can also find us at youtube.com/PlatformersPod and twitch.tv /PlatformersPod. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ribnax, RIBNAX.
You can find me on Twitter at the Jawa Josh. I don't tweet that much anymore, but that's where I am. And then if you want to see all the cool video essay stuff I'm up to, you can go to youtube.com/braintap.
You can find me at Shrives93. This week I will be on, if you're familiar with Sam Adams at Jampack Sam, I will be on Exhibition, an Xbox podcast. That's a new podcast that he started up. So I'll be chatting with him about what is coming from E3, why I'm excited for Xbox this generation, way more than I was last generation, because and all that good stuff. He's a good dude. He creates he does a daily morning podcast every day that he records it at like 5 a.m.
That's insane.
And like he does like a recap of like the news that happened the day before, and then like gets it up first thing in the morning. Yeah, he's hustling. That's Sam Adams. He's a good boy. So
also, I like his beer. I'm sure he gets
it's
that
a very
all the
good
time.
beer. He has a sign right behind him that is like in his
That's
all
awesome.
his recordings. So yeah, I think that'll go live on Friday or Saturday. But I'm
Cool.
recording with him on Thursday, so you can check that out as well. I'll tweet that out when it's available.
Nice. Please review us on your podcast platform of choice. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, follow us or give us, one of those likes and subscribes and all that sort of business. And if you have a good time with the show, tell friends about it because that's the way that we grow. From everybody here at the Platformers, we hope that you have a wonderful week out there and stay safe because until next time, we are out.
Boy.
Family is everything.